first lesson in the first unit, that is diversity in living organism. In that first lesson will be the living word. Okay. In this, the living word, the word we know which is outside our home, or we are living in this world, and the term living indicates a certain character in the things which make them different from non-living things. And from childhood you already studied about living and non-living things. So you already know, you can list the characters of living organism. Can you tell me some? Okay. Growth is a character of living organism. Then you can say respiration. Then you can say circulation. Then you can say movement, production of food, digestion, excretion, everything. You can list many characters of living organism. Here, when we go to the basic, that is from bacteria till the most complicated one, that is human, they follow some common characters, or they are having some common character. I made a list of those characters. Okay, first one is the growth and reproduction. Next, metabolism, cellular organization, and consciousness. These are the 5 important characters of living organism, whether it may be the bacteria or it may be the human or flowering plants. So, let us go to these characters which are very important. See, the characters in this character, we can divide the character into 2 types. One is the essential character, second one is the defining character. Essential character means a living organism should have this character, but it is not so compulsory. Usually the living organism show those characters, but defining character should hold true for each and every individual without exception. That means each and every individual should have that character, and without that character we cannot consider an organism living. Such character are called as defining character. Okay, see here I had made a list. Out of this, some will be the character of living organism, some will be the defining character of living organism. Okay, first one is growth. We know each and every organism will grow, but whether it is only present in living organism, are non-living things unable to grow? Let us discuss. Growth is found in each and every organism, and the form is different in different organisms. For example, if we consider the bacteria, the cell division itself is the growth. Okay, cell division itself is the growth. They increase in the cytoplasmic content, and one cell divide into 2 cells. As the number increases, we say bacteria are growing. So this is what growth occurs in the bacteria. But if you consider human or multicellular animals, the growth is in the form of increase in the number. As a result, the size of the organism will increase. Whether it may be the plant, which is very small, which germinates from a single seed till it becomes a large tree which produces many fruits and seeds. Okay, that is the growth. Or in the case of animals, from an embryo or from a baby, it grows into an adult, then reaches the old age and finally die. That means the growth may be in different form in different organisms. But especially there will be increase in the number, whether number itself may indicate the growth or number may contribute in the growth. And the growth can be considered as two types, limited and unlimited growth. You know, the animals are having limited growth. That means they grow up to certain age. After that, they will cease their growth. Whereas, if you consider the plants, they will be having unlimited growth. That is especially because they are having meristematic tissue in their root and shoot tip. Okay, because of the presence of meristematic tissue, they will be showing the unlimited growth. Okay, let us see whether growth is present only in the living thing, whether it is absent in non-living. No, growth may also occurs in the non-living things. For example, there is a sand heap in the desert. If wind blows, then sand, when wind carries more and more sand, the sand heap gradually grows. It is because accumulation of sand particle from outside. So, growth is external. Similarly, crystallization of salt in a solution. You are familiar with this experiment in your previous classes. So, the salt crystals gradually grow when they are suspended in a solution. That is also indicating it's also growing. That means growth can be observed in both non-living and living things, but the form is different. In living, the growth is internal, whereas in non-living, growth is external accumulation. Okay, then we can consider growth as a character of living organism, but not the defining character, because I already mentioned defining character occurs only in living organism. Then next one is reproduction. You know, each and every usually living organism give rise to young one, similar to itself. Reproduction, again production. They want to leave something that represent them in their next generation. That is why organism reproduce, because they want their species live on even though they spend their lifetime. After lifetime also they want their representative present on this earth. That is the very need of reproduction, to continue its race. Okay. Then whether, next question is whether reproduction is very essential for living organism, whether if the reproduction is absent, then can we consider the organism as non-living? Let us think about this. We know honeybee colony, isn't it? There are three types of bees. One is queen, one is worker, and another one is drone. Three types of bees are there in a honeybee colony. Queen is a fertile one. It is able to reproduce. It can lay egg after fertilization or before fertilization. It will be having the capacity to reproduce. That means it lay egg. It is a fertile one. And drones are there. They are the males of the colony. They can also participate in the reproduction by donating the sperm. So, both queen and drones are able to reproduce. But let us go to the one more category of the honeybee colony, that is worker bees. They are females, but they will never reproduce because they are not sterile in nature. They are not having the capacity to reproduce. Then are we able to consider those bees as non-living? No, they are living. They are essential part of our environment, isn't it? So, we can say the reproduction is a character of living organism. No non-living things can reproduce. But the thing is, not all the living things are able to reproduce. There are exceptions. For example, the couples who are not having the children. Are we able to consider they are non-living? No, isn't it? They are living, but they are unable to reproduce. So that is, the reproduction is a character of living organism, but it is not the defining character, because there are exceptions for reproduction. There are some organisms that are unable to reproduce. Okay. Next one, we will go to the next character, that is metabolism. You mentioned about respiration, then food production, digestion, excretion, everything. Basically, they are nothing but chemical reaction. Chemical reaction that is taking place in the living organism. Those are called as metabolism. There are many reactions going on in our body, inside the cell, and that reactions are enzyme mediated. Enzymes are nothing but a type of catalyst. You can ask me, what is catalyst? Catalyst is something that enhances the rate of reaction. So, these enzymes are very essential for various chemical reaction or various reaction taking place in our body. And those reactions are considered as metabolism. You are familiar with the types of metabolism. Anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism, catabolism. Anabolism, in which from smaller molecule, larger molecules will be formed. Catabolism, from larger molecules, smaller one will be forming. Anabolism, example photosynthesis. Catabolism, example respiration. Metabolism. So, each and every living organism will be having metabolism in them. Next thing is whether it is defining. Yes, because each and every living organism will be having metabolism in their body. Without metabolism, the organism will die. Then you can ask, yes, every living organism show metabolism, but that metabolism or chemical reaction can also occur in our laboratory, which is in non-living thing, isn't it? We can conduct experiment. For example, action of salivary amylase in test tube. We can conduct salivary amylase activity in a test tube. That is not a living thing. Then how can you say this is a defining character? I will tell you that salivary amylase, whatever the experiment you do in vitro, that means in the laboratory, there it involves an enzyme. And even though the metabolism can takes place outside the body, but it is taking place in a living system. Okay, so you can consider the metabolism as a defining character of living organism. Metabolism is a defining character of living organism. Next one is the cellular organization. What is the cellular organization? Each and every organism made up of cell without any exception. They are made up of cell without any exception. Whether it may be the bacteria, whether it may be the human. All of us are made up of cells. And every different function or whatever the metabolism that is occurring inside the cell. And we can consider the cellular organization as a defining character. But you can say the viruses. The viruses are not having this cellular organization. And you can say why the virus, you can consider virus as a living thing if it is a defining character. See, viruses are both living, having the character of both living and non-living things. Viruses can be crystallized. Okay, that is not the character of living, and they cause disease, which is a character of living. So, viruses are both living and non-living. They are connecting link between living and non-living things. Okay. Cellular organization thus can be considered as a defining character. Okay. Let us go to the last one, that is consciousness. You are familiar with. We will talk about consciousness. Are you conscious? We usually scold students. Are you conscious? Where are you? Because it is one of the important character of a living thing. Whenever there is a stimulus from the environment or external stimulus is there should be a response from the organism. If there is no response, we can't say the organism is living. For example, the patients who are in coma, see, they are unable to give response. We can't say they are completely living. Okay. See, this is the consciousness, is the awareness what's going on outside environment. You can say plants do not show any response. No, plant will show. You heard about the phototrophism. Correct, phototrophism, the movement or bending of plants towards the light source, that is phototrophism, isn't it? So they will bend because they give response to the sunlight. Okay, the root always grows towards the water. Okay, or the roots always grow towards the gravity. Geotrophism, hydrotrophism. These are all the terms which indicate plants also show the response to change in the environment. Forget about all this. You know, touch me not plant, isn't it? If you touch, it will shrink, isn't it? It will give response. So that means plants also able to give response, but we are unable to identify it. So these are the important, and you can consider consciousness is very important defining character of living organism. So these are the important characters of living organism. Let us go to the next concept, that is diversity in living world. It is estimated that around 1.7 to 1.8 million living organisms present on Earth. And is it possible for us to remember all of them? No. We will be usually having curiosity. We will be usually want to name them. We will want to identify them, and we will give names, common names or vernacular names we will give. And this vernacular name or common name are very confusing because the same plant can be given different name in different region. And same name can be given to different plants in different region. So vernacular names are little bit complicated. And we are, because of that, at the international level, they set up a code or set of rules to name the organism. And to name the plants, there is a set of rules called ICBN. That means International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, which will be helpful in naming the plants. Then there is a set of rules for naming animals called as ICZN, International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. These are the set of rules that will be helpful in naming plants and animals. Okay? And by following that, if we name a plant or animal wherever we go, whether it is India, whether it is America, Africa, whatever, wherever we go, the same plant represented by same name. So what are these names, or what are the rules that should be followed by this name? Let us go to the rules of this nomenclature. First one is, we are now following binomial nomenclature. What is this binomial? Bi indicates two. Okay, the scientific method of naming an organism is called as nomenclature, and now we follow binomial nomenclature. That means each name consisting of two words, that the name will be having two words. That's why it is called as binomial nomenclature. Okay, there are two words I already mentioned. Which is that word? Generic name and specific epithet. Okay, generic name and specific epithet. In a common words, you say generic name and species name. The name, scientific method of naming will be having two important words in them. For example, I will take Mangifera. Mangifera indica. Okay, it is the scientific name of mango. Mango is having two words, that is, first one is called generic name and second word is called specific epithet. Generic name and specific epithet. Generic name is nothing but it represents the genus and specific epithet represent the species. Okay, let us go to the rules of this binomial nomenclature, or whatever the rules are that should be followed to name a plant. First rule is, it should be, the scientific name should be given according to the Latin name. That means we should give the Latin word name for naming the plant. We can't use Kannada, English, Hindi, whatever language we want, but we should name the plant according to the Latin language. If it is not from the Latin, it should be Latinized. The first rules is the scientific name should be given in Latin. Latin language should be used for naming the plant and or animals by scientific method. If it is not from Latin, it should be Latinized. So that is the first important rule that is followed by in naming the plants and animals. Then again, it is having two words, that is generic name and specific name. Remember, generic name should always starts with capital letter, whereas species name should always start with small letter. Generic name should always starts with capital letter and species name should always start with small letter. The scientific name should be always derived from Latin or Latinized. Second one, it should be having two words. One is generic name, second one is specific epithet. Generic name always should start with a capital letter. Specific epithet should start with small letter. Okay. Then, if it is printed, it should be in italics. Italics. If the scientific name is printed, it should be in italics. Italics and the slant agirbeku. Okay, it should be in italics. If it is handwritten, both the words should underlined separately. It should be underlined separately. If it is printed, it should be in italics. If it is handwritten, both the words should underline separately. So this is the next rule in the binomial nomenclature. Then last one, the author name who described the plant for the first time should be written after the specific epithet in abbreviated form. For example, this plant, Mangifera indica, was first described by Carolus Linnaeus. So here we will be writing Lin, that is in the abbreviated form. So Mangifera indica Lin. The Lin indicates the author who first described the plant. By following these rules, we will be usually naming the organism, okay, especially plants and animals. So animals a little bit usually what happen, there should not be repetition of words. ಆದರೆ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ನೇಮ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೇರೆ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸಿ ಹಿಯರ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಜಿಫೆರಾ ಇಂಡಿಕಾ ಲಿನ್. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ನೇಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ. These are the rules that should be followed by in binomial nomenclature. Next, we will go to the classification of organisms. See, we are unable to remember each and every organism. So, better we group them and remember the characteristic of group. And the process of grouping or categorizing the organism is known as classification. And when we do this scientifically, there will be different categories. Okay, the categories of classification are called as taxon. The categories of classification are called as taxon. So, there is another term called as taxonomy. Okay, taxonomy means identification, characterization, identification, classification and naming. These four concepts together comes under this taxonomy. The process of scientific classification of organism, then naming, then first one is identification, that is characterization, identification, naming and classification together considered as taxonomy. And in this taxonomy we will be getting different categories, and those categories are called as taxon. First one, we will go to the characterization. Characterization. Characterization means describing the organism. For example, if we consider mango, we should write the character of mango. What is the character of its root, stem, leaves, then flower, inflorescence, then androecium, gynoecium, everything we have to describe. Our complete character of organism should be described, and that is known as characterization. Okay, characterization. Then next one is identification. So after characterization, we have to compare the character of the organism which we are having and the character of organism which we already have. Is there any similarity? Is there any dissimilarity? And finally, we will put them to the group which is having similar character, and that is the classification. And once we do the classification, we put the organism into its respective group. Finally, we will be able to give name to the organism, and naming is called as nomenclature. So, in the taxonomy, there are characterization, identification, classification and nomenclature. These are the four basic concepts of the taxonomy. So, this is about the taxonomy, and it is very important to follow the scientific naming, and there are many scientific words that should be used in the description of plants and animals, and we will discuss in detail about the taxonomy in higher studies. Okay, thank you.